Welcome to the Real Crime Diary, Daily Dose of Crime. Today, we explore a shocking case of corruption at the highest levels of law enforcement. What happens when the top cop becomes the criminal? Brace yourself for a tale that will challenge everything you thought you knew about those sworn to protect and serve. In a shocking turn of events that has rocked the international law enforcement community, Genaro Garcia Luna, once Mexico's most powerful law enforcement official, has been sentenced to a staggering 38 years and 4 months in prison. This isn't just any case of corruption. It's a tale of betrayal at the highest levels of government. Garcia Luna, who served as Mexico's Secretary of Public Security from 2006 to 2012, was found guilty of accepting millions of dollars in bribes from none other than the infamous Sinaloa Cartel. Yes, you heard that right. The very organization he was sworn to combat. This isn't just a fall from grace. It's a plummet from the heights of power to the depths of disgrace. Garcia Luna, once hailed as a crusader against drug trafficking, now stands exposed as a willing accomplice to one of the most notorious criminal enterprises in the world. The sentence handed down in a Brooklyn federal court serves as a stark reminder that no one, regardless of their position or power, is above the law. But as we delve deeper into this case, we'll see that the ramifications of Garcia Luna's actions extend far beyond his own fate, touching the lives of countless individuals on both sides of the US-Mexico border. How did he manage this double life for so long? The answer lies in the very power and influence his position afforded him. As the head of Mexico's Federal Investigation Agency, and later as Secretary of Public Security, Garcia Luna was able to control the flow of information, manipulate investigations, and silence potential whistleblowers. His facade was so convincing that for years, he was seen as a key ally in the US-led war on drugs. Little did anyone suspect that the man tasked with bringing down the cartels was actually their most valuable asset. For 4 intense weeks in a Brooklyn courtroom, the world watched as Mexico's former top cop, Genaro Garcia Luna, faced justice. Prosecutors didn't pull any punches, describing him as the Sinaloa cartel's most valuable asset. But what evidence sealed his fate? Witness after witness took the stand, revealing a web of corruption that reached the highest levels of Mexican law enforcement. They detailed how Garcia Luna provided the cartel with crucial intelligence on police operations, even going as far as supplying them with official uniforms and equipment. But perhaps the most damning evidence came from Garcia Luna's own actions. His lavish lifestyle, far beyond what his government salary could support, raised eyebrows and questions. How could a public servant afford such luxury? The jury didn't need long to reach their verdict, guilty on all counts. But it was Judge Brian Cogan's words that truly drove home the magnitude of Garcia Luna's betrayal. In a scathing rebuke, he equated Garcia Luna's actions to those of the very criminals he was supposed to be fighting. Aside from your pleasant demeanor and your articulateness, the judge declared, you have the same kind of thuggishness as El Chapo. It just manifests itself in a different way. With those words, Judge Cogan sentenced Garcia Luna to over 38 years behind bars, a stark reminder that no one is above the law, not even those sworn to uphold it. The impact of Genaro Garcia Luna's betrayal is staggering, with consequences that ripple through both the United States and Mexico. His actions directly enabled the import of over 1 million kilograms of narcotics into the U.S. That's not just a number, it's a tidal wave of destruction washing over communities. In the U.S., this influx of drugs has fueled the ongoing opioid crisis, tearing families apart and overwhelming healthcare systems. Overdose deaths have skyrocketed, leaving countless lives shattered in their wake. Emergency rooms are stretched to their limits, and addiction treatment centers struggle to keep up with the demand. Meanwhile, in Mexico, the consequences are equally devastating. Garcia Luna's corruption allowed cartels to operate with impunity, leading to increased violence and instability. Entire towns have been caught in the crossfire of cartel wars, with innocent civilians paying the price. The erosion of trust in law enforcement has left many Mexicans feeling helpless and abandoned by their government. But perhaps the most insidious impact is the loss of faith in the very institutions meant to protect us. When the top cop turns out to be a criminal, it shakes the foundation of the entire justice system. How many other corrupt officials might be out there, working against the very people they're sworn to serve? In the face of damning evidence and a guilty verdict, Genaro Garcia Luna continued to proclaim his innocence. In a letter to Judge Kogan, he painted himself as a virtuous public servant, describing his upbringing and portraying himself as a tireless enemy of terrorism and drug trafficking. It's a stark contrast to the image presented by prosecutors and witnesses during his trial. Garcia Luna's defense took an unexpected turn when he claimed that his conviction was based on false information provided by the current government of Mexico and criminal witnesses. This conspiracy theory suggests a coordinated effort to frame him, but it falls flat when examined closely. His attorney even attempted to have the guilty verdict tossed out, alleging witness collusion and perjury. They provided an affidavit from a jail inmate who claimed to have overheard a plan to frame Garcia Luna. However, this last-ditch effort backfired spectacularly when prosecutors uncovered evidence that Garcia Luna himself had offered to pay inmates to confirm this tale. Despite his pleas for leniency, the judge remained unmoved by Garcia Luna's long list of law enforcement awards, dismissing them as nothing more than a cover for his criminal activities. In the end, Garcia Luna's denials and defense strategies only served to highlight the depth of his betrayal and the extent of his crimes. The fall of Genaro Garcia. Luna sends shockwaves through the international law enforcement community, raising alarming questions about the integrity of those tasked with combating drug trafficking. When the very individuals entrusted to protect us become corrupted, it undermines the entire system of justice. This case exposes the vulnerability of even the highest levels of law enforcement to the immense wealth and influence of drug cartels. It forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth: how many other officials might be compromised. The implications for the war on drugs are profound. If cartels can infiltrate and manipulate top-level security forces, how can we trust the effectiveness of anti-drug operations? This case may necessitate a complete overhaul of vetting processes and accountability measures within law enforcement agencies worldwide. Moreover, it highlights the need for increased international cooperation and oversight in the fight against drug trafficking. No single country can combat this issue alone, especially when internal corruption is a possibility. As we grapple with these unsettling realities, one thing becomes clear: the war on drugs must evolve. We need innovative strategies that address not just the supply of narcotics, but also the systemic vulnerabilities that allow corruption to flourish. As we wrap up today's episode, we're left with a chilling question. How many more Genaro Garcia Lunas might be out there, hiding in plain sight? The case of Mexico's former top cop turned cartel collaborator serves as a stark reminder that corruption can infiltrate even the highest echelons of law enforcement. It forces us to reconsider our assumptions about those sworn to protect and serve. Join us next time for more true crime stories that will challenge your perceptions and leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about law and order. Until then, stay vigilant and keep questioning. Power, Pleasure, and Pain. A study of abuse through time. This book provides a detailed examination of how sexual violence and power dynamics have manifested across different historical periods, from ancient civilizations to the modern era. It explores how figures in positions of power used their influence to manipulate and exploit others, showing that the patterns of abuse we see today have deep historical roots. Many people struggle to grasp why abuse of power, particularly sexual violence, persists in modern society. By connecting historical events with contemporary cases, the book offers crucial insights into why such behaviors remain prevalent. The book analyzes infamous cases such as those of Harvey Weinstein, R. Kelly, and Dominique Pellicotte, drawing parallels between them and historical figures. This section highlights how the systemic abuse seen in recent times is not a new phenomenon, but part of an ongoing cultural issue. Through the lens of these modern examples, readers will gain a better understanding of how institutions, wealth, and power have historically shielded perpetrators from justice, contributing to their ability to continue harming others. The book explores the philosophy of libertarianism, particularly through the works of Marquis de Sade, to explain the disturbing ways in which pleasure, power, and cruelty have been intertwined. This provides readers with a deeper philosophical context to interpret modern-day scandals. Unlike other studies that focus solely on historical or contemporary cases, this book uniquely blends both, offering a full spectrum of how abuse is tied to power dynamics. It stands out by making philosophical connections that help readers understand the deeper societal issues at play.